Now we were talking about program documentation. From the moment we started preparing flowcharts for development of the program till we develop the program and we start using the program, all the instructions we will write them down. Those instructions will be throughout the program life cycle. For example, why we are doing this? User must understand why this feature was introduced in the product. The programmer might forget it, that there are some errors or the features that will help us in the future. We might forget it. That is why we are taking it in writing. Then we will look at the system behavior. What is system behavior is, we have developed the system for a certain purpose. For example, we have prepared the robot to do the household chores, also do some research and all. But what is happening is, he is not doing research, he is only doing household chores. So that is a system behavior we will document and we will write it down so that we can understand that there are some errors in his functions. Then understandable to user. This documentation must be understandable to user. So for the users from all the levels of management and also some stakeholders, it must be understandable. It must not be the case that it is written in such a simple language that anyone can copy such a program. Okay, there must be some level of anonymity and confidentiality there. Also, that confidentiality will be maintained and restricted to certain people. So that is how program documentation will be done. Only 3 points are there. We will do it throughout the program life cycle. We will analyze the system behavior and we will prepare reports. And it must be in a language which is understandable to user. But some confidentiality must be maintained to a certain extent, so that this program may not be developed by another person. Okay. Now program maintenance. How to do the program maintenance? Now we have these tax softwares for direct tax and other things. From the in the previous years, we have also introduced GST. So we also have now softwares which have direct tax and GST. But if you don't make these changes in your software, obviously your software is going to be outdated. So what you will do is, you will do program maintenance. What is program maintenance? You will make changes to the data, or you will make changes to the data processing. Now data processing, instead of analyzing now 10 parameters, it will analyze now 20 parameters, because we have added those parameters, we've added those triggers. So we will make changes to the database. After that, if required, we will modify the entire program. If the changes are overhauling or a bit more than what the program was made for, we will modify the entire program. And after we modify the entire program, what we will do is, we will prepare that management report for stage 1 and stage 2, and we will give it to the system designer. Okay. Now tell me why we will do that. Why we will prepare report and give it to the system designer or the programmer?
Once again, repeat the question, sir.
Now, if you want to make modifications to the program or add some features into the program, you can do it easy. But after you do that, why do you need to prepare a management report and give it to the system designer or the programmer? Why we need to involve a system designer or a programmer in the changes we have made to the program?
To see whether the software is compatible with the changes, or capability, compatibility, efficiency, accuracy. Same, sir.
Okay. Programmer is an expert in these things. What you have done is, You have installed the GST software along with direct tax software. You have made that change. After you enter the data of GST and all, you have not entered data integrity tables. What are standing data tables or data integrity tables are? The GST rates, if they are updated, means updated as in a circular has been issued and all, it might not get updated simultaneously in the database. Okay, so you need to install data integrity tables. We need to install standing data tables. If you don't install them, the work you are doing, it is already outdated. That is one point. The second point is, after you are performing these operations, if you are not saving the documents, there is always a case that you are losing all the data. So you need to also back it up with a separate database. When we were doing conceptual modeling, data modeling, storage structure designs, physical design and all, we didn't take these things into consideration. Okay. So if you are updating it, you need to also update all those earlier stages. Okay. That is why we are reading this entire chapter in processes. Okay, so that you can understand how difficult it is to update the entire system. Only a programmer can do it. So that is why whatever changes we are doing, we are reporting it to the program. Also, if I ask you what are the components of processing or a system, you will say that the components are input, output, processing, storage. We are saying that because we only know four of these components. Okay, there are at least 200 components of a system. Only a programmer can understand that. That is why we are giving the management reports to programmers. Now, whenever you do maintenance of a program, okay, whenever you want to make changes to the program, there is a special team called maintenance programmers, okay, who are expert in doing the changes or updating the entire system in a backward manner. Okay, you will see what are the updates, and then you will go back into the entire life cycle and you will keep on updating one by one all the things. So that team is called as maintenance programmers. Okay. So in system acquisition, we have system acquisition committee. In system development, we have maintenance programmers. Okay, these are the keywords in this maintenance programmers. Now, this question has never been asked in the exam about the programming language. Why they are not asking this question is because it is just a list of the languages. There is nothing you can explain about it. You don't have to explain what is C++, Java, JavaScript, VBScript, COBOL, C, Lisp, Prolog. They don't expect full forms for that. They don't expect explanation for that. It is just a list. Till now, they have not asked this question. And I don't expect them to ask this question. That is why I have made it in a separate format, because there is some kind of anonymity attached to this question of programming language. Okay, now let's see again the process how to do programming. We will write down what we want from the program. We will prepare a logical design. Then we will prepare flowcharts to understand the activities it must do, what is the processing power it will need, what is the storage capacity it will need. That is, you have converted it into flowchart. Then it might be the case when you develop the flowchart, you might forget it. So you will also prepare a description or statements. Now you will read these statements and you will start coding. After you code in one of these programming languages, you will put that source code into the compiler. After you put it into the compiler, it will start debugging. And after debugging, we will implement that program. So this is the flow of developing a program. Now let's see what are the programming languages we will use. Now, high level general purpose language. It is COBOL and C, object oriented, C++, Java, scripting language, JavaScript, VBScript, decision support, Lisp and Prolog. Okay. They have not explained what we will use high level general purpose or object oriented scripting language or decision support. Just remember these points, and if you want, you can remember it as HODS. HODS. What is HODS? Head of Department of Science. Head of Department of Science. Head of Department of Science. If you want, you can remember that or remember it this way. Now, which programming language to use or select, that they have explained. Okay. It depends on the algorithmic complexity, data structure complexity, and the knowledge capabilities. The knowledge of the people in the organization and the capabilities of the people. So they have mentioned 2 or 3 factors how to do the selection, and they have finished the question. Now tell me, have we read this anywhere? High level language, specific purpose language, general purpose planning language.
Decision support systems.
Okay,
Chapter
so there are a lot of questions in this chapter that are linking with the decision support system. For example, the logical design, then this question programming language. So here, if you even if you don't remember anything, what you can do is you can give the explanation of components of DSS here. That general purpose planning language is used for the routine operations, and the high level or a specific purpose planning language is used for exceptional circumstances. For example, detecting a fraud or giving a strategic information to someone else. Okay. After this, once again, this question has never been asked by the Institute programming language till now. I don't even expect it to be asked after this, but they can ask this in MCQs because they are just names like match the following or fill in the blanks like that. So these were the questions in system development. Now let's see one easy question and finish this session. Now, just now we saw how to do maintenance, why we are doing maintenance. Now we will see what are the categories of system maintenance. Okay, just a minute. Yes, someone took charge of my phone and changed my profile picture. I don't know who did that. Must have been my brother. Okay, fine. The categories of system maintenance. Now, you have antivirus installed in your organization systems. If you don't update it, the firewall may be turned off, and the virus through public network can enter into the computers, and now you know how the cyber attacks and cyber techniques can be used to infect your computers. So what you will do is you will do the planning that the antivirus will be updated twice in a day after every 12 hours on its own. You will do that setting in your computer itself so that you don't have to take additional efforts. And if it cannot be done, what we will do is we will assign the responsibility to a person in the IT department that please make sure that the antivirus is updated after every 12 hours. So when you do that, you have already anticipated what can happen and you are taking measures. So that is a scheduled maintenance. Okay, that is a scheduled maintenance. One more example. If you want a fit body, what you are doing is you are working out daily. You are not just working out daily, you are working out with a trainer daily. So you have already anticipated that there might be some health problems later. So what you are doing is you have a schedule, you are doing scheduled maintenance of your body. So that is scheduled maintenance. After that, now something has happened, such as the hard disk. It was on the table, by mistake, it fell down. Now you are worried that whether the hard disk has means broken or not, or if there is any data loss or not. So what you will do is you will immediately contact the IT department that the hard disk has fallen down. There was a lot of data in it. Please try to recover it. Okay, because the hard disk has already been deteriorated. The quality has already been gone. we need to purchase a new software or a new hard disk. So that is rescue maintenance. What is rescue maintenance? Immediate troubleshooting. Something bad happens, we will start doing rescue maintenance. The maintenance that we are talking about in the entire chapter number 4 is all about rescue maintenance. We are trying to recover whatever is remaining after this. Now tell me, what is the difference between resumption procedures and recovery procedures?
Resumption is continuation. Recovery is the last one has been
See, the business activities we will divide as the business activities that have been affected by disaster and the business activities which have not been affected by disaster. So which have not been affected, we will resume them. Which have been affected, we will try to recover them. So this rescue maintenance is a part of recovery procedures. Then corrective maintenance. Now we took the example that the robot had stopped studying and doing research and was doing all the household chores. We understood that corrective maintenance is required. We need to do the debugging and all. We also need to prepare a report for this, that there was a change in the system behavior. That is what is corrective maintenance. One more example. Even though you had installed the antivirus, your system is getting affected. What you will do is now, you will try to identify what is the problem. What you found out, what it was not a virus, it was a malware. So now you will also install an anti-malware software because your exposure to such malwares is more. So that is what is a corrective maintenance. Then preventive maintenance. Now you have a vehicle. Okay, what you will do is you will do the oiling, servicing and all after a period of time. Okay. Why we are doing this? To ensure long-term efficiency, as with the passage of time, the efficiency of the system deteriorates. So we will call it as preventive maintenance. Now the difference between the scheduled maintenance and preventive maintenance is that the scheduled maintenance, it will be more of a routine, and this preventive maintenance will not be more of a routine. We will just make changes in the long term. For example, scheduled maintenance we will do daily, and this preventive maintenance we will do monthly. So if you differentiate these on the basis of the frequency of activities, we can understand what is scheduled maintenance and preventive maintenance. Here in scheduled maintenance, we are supposed to talk about anticipating things, and preventive maintenance talk about long-term efficiency. Then adaptive maintenance. Here once again we will take the example of GST. Since GST has come, we need to install the new updated softwares, which includes direct tax, GST, customs and all. So if you are installing it, what you are doing is you are doing adaptive maintenance. One more example, the iPhone. It is not the best gaming phone. There are a lot of gaming phones which are better than iPhone. Now what iPhone will do is it will also introduce some features that will make it the gaming phone also. So if it is doing the same, what it is doing is it is doing adaptive maintenance. It is why it is adapting, because it wants to survive in the business. If it doesn't do that, it will become an outdated phone over a period of time. Then perfective maintenance. Now, what is perfective maintenance? You have a system. You have a software system. Something has happened and people have stopped using it because of 1 or 2 errors. So what you will do is you will start new initiatives on your own. For example, earlier we had online banking, then direct fund transfers, then we had offline banking, we had ATMs and all. But now what people want is they don't want to go through that password system, then online banking and all. They want the payments to be done quickly. So this was the reason why the system assurance person was worried and we had Amir Khan and Sundar Pichai and all these people. So now, when we are doing this, when we are introducing payment initiatives like Paytm, Book My Show, PhonePe, when we are taking this initiative on our own, okay, we are trying to reach that level of perfection. That is what we will call as perfective maintenance. Okay. So here what we are doing is we are analyzing the user's requirement, and as per that, we are making changes in our system. Okay. If we don't do this, it is not the case that the organization is going to become outdated or it is going to shut down completely. There are a lot of companies still now that they are not preferring a payment through Google Pay and PhonePe and Paytm and all. They still recommend doing online banking and all. Yes, sir. Do you use Paytm or PhonePe or Google Pay to make payment for ICA, ICA's exam form and all? Or do you need to do online banking?
Online banking.
Online banking.
Online banking. See, for some operations, you can use Google Pay, but for some operations, they have restricted it to online banking. But now virtually everything has become online banking. So it is just a matter of time. ICI will also do perfective maintenance. So shall we stop?
So what's the difference between adaptive and perfective? In both, we are just accommodating to changes.
See, in adaptive maintenance, we are looking at the environment. Okay, it is a change that can determine your survival in the market. If the government has introduced GST and we don't include GST in our syllabus, or we don't update the GST software along with the direct tax software, surely our customers are going to go, and if we don't adapt to the same, there will be liability and all. Now in perfective maintenance, we know that there are going to be changes in the environment. Also, we are looking at the user's requirement. Okay, here to take an example of ICA, even if it doesn't do that, there is virtually going to be no impact on ICA. But on its own, if it takes the initiative, then we will call it he is trying to achieve a level of perfection. Okay, one more example. There is a student. He learns Kung Fu. He learns Kung Fu. Now he knows how to fight. But what the opponent is doing is, the opponent knows Kung Fu and other martial arts. So what he will do is he will try to mix it. So the earlier fighter, what he will do is, if he wants to fight and win with that person, he will also have to learn martial arts. So that is the mentality we have in adaptive maintenance. If we don't do that, we might be outdated and we will have to shut down the business. In perfective maintenance, this person, out of curiosity, and if he wants to develop his skills, not to defeat someone or win something, but to achieve a level of perfection by himself. That is a perfective maintenance. Okay, his goal is not to win something or bring changes to defeat someone. He's trying to attain that level of perfection by himself. He wants to make changes in himself. He's thinking about himself and not about the opponent here. Okay, did this example give you some clarity? Okay, that is how I was able to differentiate.
Yes, sir.
Okay. It is just the attitude you can look in the maintenance types. It will help you in understanding. Because the common theory between this entire subject is we are not happy with the existing system. We need to make some changes to the existing system because something may go wrong. So what we will do is, so that something doesn't go wrong, we will do this. We will make changes to the existing system and then it will be eliminated or reduced. So that is the core or the common points we will see everywhere in this chapter. So everything, seems difficult to memorize. So what you can do is you can add some attitude or understand the mindset of the person writing it. Okay, so shall we stop here? Yes, how was today's session?
It was really nice, sir.
Thank you. Okay, we'll stop. If you have any queries, and if you want, you can text me the concepts and all in other subjects that you want me to cover. We will have a surprise session in the evening for 1 hour or 1.5 hours. We will try to cover those concepts from other subjects also, no issues. Okay, just make sure that at least 10 concepts are there or 10 questions are there that you want me to discuss. Okay, we'll stop here. Chalo. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.